The rugs are immediate. They're like instant Xanax for kids. I explained it all in my email.
Girl, who told you to send an email?
You did.
Anyway.
Writer, actress, producer, and comedian Quinta Brunson won an Outstanding Writing Emmy for the pilot of Abbott Elementary, and the show's first 2 seasons were both highly acclaimed by critics. Nonetheless, for season 3, the writers decided to change things up a little. Messing with the dynamics of a sitcom that works always has the potential for disaster. But in this case, it led directly to the perfect episode of Abbott Elementary.
In the meantime, Mr. Johnson will be watching her class.
Wait, so Mr. Johnson, the janitor?
That's who runs the world, kids.
And while we get ready to take you to school, why don't you take a moment to subscribe to the Nerdstalgic channel? Inspired by her mother's 4-decade career in education, Quinta Brunson created a sitcom, which debuted on ABC in December of 2021. Using a mockumentary format like The Office,
Okay, you guys working with the cops because you gotta tell me.
the show centered on Brunson's Janine Teagues, a second-grade teacher at the predominantly black Willard R. Abbott Elementary School, a fictional public school in Philadelphia. Abbott Elementary is badly underfunded. Conditions there are relatively awful, and most teachers quit after their second year.
I forgot. I actually want to be a lawyer.
But the kids ain't even here yet.
Nonetheless, the first 2 seasons always found the relentlessly optimistic Janine struggling against her circumstances, and tone-deaf principal Ava Coleman to do right by her students.
Ava's our principal. She has a unique take on her job.
She's bad at her job. What's unique is that she's bad at her job.
Now, Abbott Elementary usually starts a season in the fall and plays out in real time week to week, like a school year. But the writer's strike in 2023 delayed the 3rd season, which meant, to keep the conceit going, the story would have to start mid-school year. This easily could have derailed any plans the writers had made at the end of season 3, but instead, they used the time jump to lay the groundwork for a host of changes, which the season would then work backwards to explain.
So they got robbed because they thought it'd be cute to walk around West Philly at night with all this camera equipment. Anyway, here we are 5 months later because that's how long it takes for 3 people with art degrees to save up for new cameras.
Fans were shocked when the 3rd season opened to reveal that Janine had left her classroom and taken a leave of absence from her job as a teacher to accept a position at the school district. But otherwise, Abbott Elementary seems to have little interest in the status quo. Instead, the writers have taken advantage of the changed dynamics to focus on character reinvention. And by moving the main protagonist from her supporting cast, they open up new avenues of growth for the ensemble and relationships that power Abbott Elementary. Emotionally speaking, it's been a fairly rough ride for fans. Early in season 3, Janine and Gregory end their burgeoning romance, and later Melissa breaks up with Gary, the vending machine guy, her longtime boyfriend, but it was in episode 5, Breakup, that the fruits of the changing dynamics would be most evident.
We used to be the 3 musketeers, but now I'm 1 musketeer, and they're just 2 that don't invite me to things.
The episode follows several threads, starting with one about Jacob Hill, an 8th grade teacher who has been a friend and ally to Janine in the first 2 seasons. After talking with fellow teacher Gregory Eddy, Jacob admits he wants to break up with his longtime boyfriend.
Black?
It's actually pronounced Zach.
Despite this, however, Jacob can't bring himself to be honest with Zach, and instead executes an elaborate plan to annoy his significant other into dumping him.
For example, when I just got out of the car right now, I did not say goodbye. She hates that.
So you did nothing?
Trust me, this is not nothing.
Meanwhile, Ava takes an interest in helping the old religious kindergarten teacher, Barbara Howard. After Barb's church choir denies her a vocal solo she rightfully deserves because they perceive her as too modern. At the same time, Janine is still trying to settle into her new role at the district, but gets drawn back to Abbott when her old friend, teacher Melissa Schminti, suspects that the unusual substitute teacher who's taken over Janine's class might be a fraud.
How long you been a sub?
Ever since I got my gift card, gift certificate, teaching certificate. Teaching feels like a gift.
Abbott Elementary has always been sharp and funny, and not only is this episode not an exception, but it's arguably among the funniest in the series, with literally every member of the cast showing off their comedic A-game.
Zach has already started writing a 1-man show about me. He's calling it Fleabag, but with an F.
Fleafaff?
No.
But Breakup is more than just funny. From a storytelling perspective, it turns the world of Abbott Elementary on its head. Though he's usually used to provide comedic relief, in an outing Jacob gets to step front and center in a story that explores a more dramatic, emotional side of him. The scene where he reveals to Gregory that he's felt trapped in his relationship for months shows off a dark side to the character seldom seen in the series.
When we're not bored, we're bickering. I don't know, it's not working. It's like a DC movie over here.
While a traditionalist compared to many of her colleagues at the school, in the choir, Barb is an object of ridicule. The other ladies mock her for, among other things, her piercings and makeup, and her friendships with some of the school's, quote, more colorful teachers.
I am not Christian enough for them.
Oh, because you got a few piercings? If anybody can appreciate a few extra holes in their bodies, it's Jesus.
The classic case of role reversals add depth to Barb, showing off a more vulnerable side to her and highlighting the progressive aspect of her character that's harder to see when she's in the company of people like Janine. But it also creates a chance for Ava to show off her own character growth. Ava, who basically fills the same clueless and obnoxious boss role that Michael Scott filled in The Office, started out the series as the personification of selfishness.
What y'all doing in here? Never mind, I don't care.
But like Michael Scott, Ava has been allowed to evolve, albeit at a very deliberate pace. This episode, which depicts her looking out for one of her teachers for once, marks another step in her evolution. After Ava sees the choir essentially bullying Barbara, she steps in and counsels her to fight for what she wants. When she still fails to get the vocal solo she had her heart set on, Ava takes it upon herself to schedule an assembly so that Barb can sing before the whole school. More remarkably, almost the whole dilemma plays out after school hours, so Ava is in no way acting as a principal when she intervenes. Having evolved to the point where she can see her colleagues as actual people in this episode, Ava seems to be acting solely from a place of friendship, and she comes off as genuinely angry on behalf of her friend. The growth in both Barb, Ava, and their relationship makes this thread stand out even in an episode where almost everyone is showing off some kind of evolution or new facet of their character.
Testing of your faith produces perseverance.
Not you quoting scripture.
You thought they could keep me away from a place that passes out free money on a free plate?
But the moment that brings it all together is really the final beat of Melissa and Janine's storyline. At Melissa's urging, Janine confronts the substitute, who they believe to be an imposter because Janine couldn't find their name in the computer. Long story short, Janine spelled the name wrong, and while certainly odd, the sub was completely legitimate. Melissa apologizes for dragging Janine into the whole situation in the first place. She blames boredom on account of how all the changes in her own life, like her breakup with Gary, have suddenly left her frequently alone, with a lot of free time on her hands. But Janine counters that
Maybe you just miss getting into classic hijinks with you and me.
Nah, that's not it.
we realize that Melissa isn't the only one who misses the status quo. Despite some initial success she's had in her new position, Janine clearly isn't entirely comfortable in her new role. In the first 2 seasons, she was primarily involved in conflicts that stemmed from her clashes with the school district. And at one level, this story in this episode highlights awkwardness inherent in the fact that now Janine is the school district. But at another level, it shows she doesn't entirely like being away from Abbott Elementary. And by the time the episode ends, we understand that the title breakup, which at first seems to refer to Jacob's breakup with Zach, is just as much, if not more, about Janine's breakup with the school and her friends there. It's the moment that elevates it all to perfection.
What are you doing in here?
Oh, Ava hasn't given me any office space.
Well, this is my mom's office, and we're about to have an important meeting.
Ultimately, Breakup is the perfect episode of the show because it expands the characters and situations in ways that meaningfully and dramatically build on what we already knew about them. It's the kind of perfect you can only get from an episode that's pushing a thing you love into new territory while remaining true to itself. And being as funny as it's ever been, if not funnier. It must have been tempting to not mess with the successful formula they had developed, but the creators of Abbott Elementary took a chance in their 3rd season, and it paid off in their best episode ever. For that, we give them an A+. So what do you think? Was Breakup the perfect episode of Abbott Elementary? And if it wasn't, what was? Let us know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely find others you like if you check out the rest of the channel. As always, thank you for subscribing to Nerdstalgic.